What the? Well, I meant Bud Light.
If you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, ask for Bud Light, because everything else...
You all right? Sure, just a little lightheaded.
It's just a light.
There's a new civilization where people have evolved beyond the need to stand in line. Mastered the art of being served when they wish. Developed technology for continuous communications. And conquered space for work and relaxation. Amtrak's Metroliner service, the most advanced civilization from Washington to New York.
All aboard Amtrak.
When it comes to autofocus cameras, some give you part of the action, but Canon EOS gives you all of the action. When it's so dark that some can't focus, EOS doesn't miss a trick. And Canon EOS has computers and motors in every lens for fast focus. So great shots are easy and so creative, the competition is out of the picture. EOS, more than autofocus, easier than ever. Buy EOS today with no money down, low monthly payments at participating Canon dealers.
Early in the second period, the Capitals roared back late. Goals by Kelly Miller and David Christian have given the Capitals a 3-1 lead after 40 minutes of action here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Welcome back to Capitals Hockey on DC 20. I'm Al Koken. You know, one of the advantages if you're a Capitals player playing in the nation's capital, besides very enthusiastic local fans, you get great attention around the country. As the nation's capital, you get plenty of senators, congressmen, people coming in from all different states, and the Capitals had a rare privilege to go down in the last week of September with the U.S. Olympic team and visit the White House and have a meeting with President Reagan. Let's show you how that went and keep an eye on some good offensive moves by the chief executive.
Of the United States.
Well, we're delighted to have all of you here today. My thanks to the players and the coaches and managers and supporters of the U.S. hockey team for coming by, and also to all of the Washington Capitals. Now, I see Dave Christian is here. Dave is a Cap, of course, but he was also on the 1980 championship Olympic team, and his dad, who is with us here today as well, was on the 1960 gold medal team. Fellas, I could use you on Capitol Hill. Now, I'm told that this year we're going to have another display of hockey expertise out here in the Rose Garden. The last time we tried that, I was talked into hitting a puck, and I actually got it by the goalie for a score.
Hit him in the face.
Try and get it by him?
Sure. I didn't do a good job. Aim for the...
I will now proceed to hit another hockey puck, or try to. That's my stick? That's your stick?
Oh, great.
Low on the stick side. You can do it.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Washington Capitals and the organization, we'd like to give you a nice crystal for having us at the White House. Thank you.
So President Reagan with a goal using a Christian Brothers stick, and David Christian using some of the family lumber tonight to put the Capitals ahead by 3-1 as he beat Wendell Young late in the second period. We'll return with more action from the Spectrum in Philadelphia after these messages on DC 20.
Last week, we bought this great new VCR at Circuit City. They guarantee if we find a lower price within 30 days, they'll refund the difference plus 10%. I'm going to find a lower price.
Right, Harold.
I found it. Oh, it's a Circuit City sale.
Don't they pay anyway?
They pay anyway, even on their own sale. That's some guarantee.
Harold, you're brilliant.
Circuit City.
Spectrum in Philadelphia has normally been a chamber of horrors for the Washington Capitals, but so far tonight it has been a friendly building. Washington has outshot the Flyers 25-12 over 2 periods and leads Philadelphia 3-1 after 40 minutes of action. We'll return with more hockey action as Capitals hockey continues after these messages.
It's a 3-1 hockey game. The Washington Capitals have the lead over the Philadelphia Flyers at the end of 2 periods of play here tonight at the Spectrum. Mike Fornes and Al Koken welcoming you back once again to our DC 20 hockey telecast. Well, I said that the game was a little closer on the scoreboard than it was in reality when it was 2-1. Now that it's 3-1, things look a little more like they're happening on the ice out there. The Capitals outplaying the Flyers like they haven't here in a long, long time.
Well, you know, we talked before this game began about how much better the Capitals now match up. They're a more physical team. They're a deeper team. They have 3 good scoring lines. They just don't have to concentrate on one line to get it all done. And they've got solid goaltending to go along with the defense they always had. So the Flyers have tried to come out, bump things around, and it worked for a little bit. They got back into that early in that second period. A power play goal by Crossman tied it at 1, but then the Capitals were able to answer back and not let the hitting bother them, and in fact actually win some of the battles in the corners and along the boards, the things the Flyers normally do so well, and get the Capitals forechecking going, and it results in the 3-1 lead that Washington now holds.
Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard and see what's happening elsewhere in the National Hockey League. The only other game, Minnesota at Quebec. Broughton is second of the year. Bjugstad has his second of the season, and now Goulet and Lambert have come up with goals for the Nordiques. So that game tied at 2-2 in the second period. The World Series just 3 innings old. They are scoreless, and the St. Louis Cardinals, Al Koken, do not have a hit so far. We'll have more hockey action from the Spectrum tonight right after we pause for these words.
Being brought to you in part by your Washington area Buick dealers and by K Jewelers, the Diamond People.
This copyrighted telecast is intended solely for the non-commercial entertainment of our viewing audience. Any publication, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Washington Capitals and WDCA television is strictly prohibited. Well, a 3-1 Capitals lead over the Flyers. Washington has outshot Philadelphia 25-12 going into the third period. But the Flyers, remember, are famous for big comebacks, especially here on this ice surface. Yet the Capitals have done pretty well with comebacks of their own. And talking about comebacks, Mike Gartner has come back for the third period, and we still are not aware of what the injury was that he suffered, but at least it looks as though he'll be available after missing the entire second period of the game.
That's got to be very disconcerting to the Flyers, even though they're down 3-1, a 2-goal deficit, and here comes a guy they thought they saw the last of for the night, one of the best Washington offensive players.
Langway sends it over to Lou Francischetti, and he clears it all the way back into the Philadelphia zone. Crossman off the boards for Howe, taken away by Hunter. He centers in front. Adams storms the net and fires a shot from close in, but the save is made by Wendell Young. Greg with the game's first goal, his first goal of the season back in the first period.
And this line that has been put together because of the absence of Mike Gartner has done a great job for the Capitals. It's Hunter in the middle with 2 strong physical wingers. A real tough line. Greg Adams and Lou Francischetti as the wingers, and it's Adams getting the good scoring chances. Francischetti again goes barreling in there to cause some trouble with the forechecking game. So the Capitals really have a couple of outstanding forechecking lines put together. This one included that's out there now with Ridley, Miller, and Senstrom.
Kerry Huffman tying up in the corner. Now we've got a penalty call coming up here, and a bad penalty to take for the Flyers. It's going to put the Washington Capitals on the power play as Miller has been held on the play. Power play hockey coming up. The Caps lead the Flyers 3-1.
Subaru savings now.
Kerry Huffman of the Flyers in the box for holding time for the second Circuit City power play contest. Contestant number 2, James Essex of Falls Church. James has chosen Mike Gartner as the Caps player to score. If he does, James wins a video or stereo unit courtesy of Circuit City.
Well, good luck, James. Gartner's at least back out on the bench, so he's available for duty, presumably. But he's not on the ice right now. Galley has the puck back in behind his own goal. He's teamed with Larry Murphy. Up front, it's Bengt Gustafsson, along with Ridley and Dave Christian. Flyers with some pressure here, and now Christian steals the puck, clears to center, and Crossman tosses it right back in. Minor penalty call to Kerry Huffman for holding came at the 41-second mark of the third period. Washington 3, Philadelphia 1. 18:40 to play here in the third period. Galley fires it in. Ridley tries to work it free, but it's off the boards and all the way back into the Washington zone. Line change for both sides. Hunter's out now with Adams and Laughlin. Hunter throws it off the back glass to Laughlin. On the return, it bounces to the corner. Gary Galley goes to pick it up at the side of the net. Here's Adams behind the goal, tries to wrap it around. It's played away by Marsh. Centered, but Ron Sutter's right there. And Sutter starts back. Leads a pass to center ice for Derek Smith. Smith gets across the blue line, but Sutter was already in there and couldn't get out. And the play is called offside against Philadelphia. Spectrum crowd has gone a little quiet again, Al, as they were earlier in the game.
The Capitals again have taken them completely out, and they could really send most of them home if they score on this power play. Greg Adams tries to get the stuffer, loses control as he's coming around, and Brad Marsh does the rest. The Capitals with 35 seconds left on the power play. A chance to really put the nail into the Flyers' hopes.
Here's Ridley into the skates of Gustafsson, back for Crossman of Philadelphia. Lead pass left wing side for Mark Howe. Right side it goes now for Craven in the corner. Stevens in there to play the puck to Gustafsson. Gustafsson headmans it to Ridley. Mike Ridley at center ice. Off the skates of Gustafsson. Gus has to chase it out to center. Weaves his way through the Flyers to the blue line, and now Christian picks it up to Stevens. His shot goes wide of the net. Back to the point. Kept in by Greg Smith. Crossman goes to the corner after it for Philadelphia. Leads it ahead for Huffman. Penalty's over. Both clubs at full strength. Here's Miller. Back to the Philadelphia line. Up ahead to Zezel. His shot blocked by Stevens. Scott has made some key blocks in this game and had one that banked off his equipment and hit the goalpost, but they don't ask how, they ask how many. And that one was no goal. Here's Jensen cruising in. He fires way up high, hits the goalkeeper, and on the rebound sends it wide. Here's Kelly Miller, a shot. That hit the side of the net. Outside the line to center, and Rod Langway goes to pick it up. Throws it beyond the stick of Peter Sundstrom. Huffman is back to take it. Icing is the call against the Capitals. There's a break in the action with a score. The Capitals 3, the Flyers 1.
It was a quiet night until the party animal came to town.
All fans receive a thermos courtesy of the Echo Power Equipment Company. Good seats still left at all Hex Ticket Centers. Our call phone charge at 432-0200. You've got 25 minutes left to do that. Operators till 10 o'clock.
Eklund centers the puck, and Langway works it free. Back into the corner for Rod Langway. Now he starts out. Has it stolen by Eklund to Tocchet. A slap shot. A save by Malarchuk. And the rebound loose right in front of the goal, but it walks wide. And Howe covers up on top of Franceschetti. Now Cavallini comes in. He gives Tocchet a shot. The linesmen are in there trying to keep the players apart, but the tension's heating up as the Flyers come close right in front of the Washington goal.
Look at the stick coming in there to try and get it Cavallini over the top. I think Tocchet was trying to get in there with his stick as Franceschetti had frozen the puck, and that's what got the ire of Paul Cavallini. There's no question Cavallini gave the first shot in on Tocchet. We'll see if the replay shows Tocchet trying to get in there and dig even after the whistle had blown by Andy Van Hellemond. So let's see if both get penalties or it's only Cavallini. Tocchet seems upset and is headed over to the Flyer penalty box, so he at least is going to get a penalty. And I don't see the door open to the Capitals penalty box. Wow, this is going to be a major change here. I don't think the Capitals are going to get anything, and it's going to be a 4-minute penalty to Tocchet. Now watch how this happens. There's the shot by Tocchet. Malarchuk makes the save. Howe tries to get it. Watch the way Franceschetti blasts Howe with a clean check. Now watch as Franceschetti goes down and freezes the puck. At the left of your screen, Tocchet is in there. We don't see how this thing begins, but no doubt he was the one who had to be digging in there. This may be the better angle to see it. Look at the Franceschetti hit. Uses the shoulder. Knocks Howe off the puck. Now, if that tape goes a little farther, you'll see what happens. Look at Tocchet. There's number 22. And look, with the skate in on Franceschetti, just no excuse for that. And it cost him. What a stupid play by a guy who has really been developing into a team leader. But at a time like this, why put your skate in there and get yourself down 4 minutes?
Double minor given to Tocchet at 4:04. And the Flyer fans don't like that at all. Boy, I like that Cavallini. Sticks his nose right in there.
Well, he's played an outstanding game tonight. Besides the big assist, he's really been very physical and has won a lot of the battles with the Flyers. And you talk about protecting a fallen teammate. There's a classic example. But here Gustafson now is going to get a penalty. And the Capitals will lose a little bit of this advantage. Interference, the call to Gus. Smile on Gus's face. Couldn't believe he got that call, but on the replay, stick was definitely in there. The interpretations now of teams have good chances if you really are interfering with a chance to not only get on the offense, but to clear the zone, to get a play underway. The referees have been calling things very, very tightly. Some discussion still out there. Brad Marsh and Zezel and David Christian talking to Andy Van Hellemond.
High sticking call to Tocchet, and then 2 more for the unsportsmanlike conduct. So that accounts for Tocchet's 4 minutes in penalties. And then the call to Gustafson negates the power play for 2 minutes of that time. Now Zezel comes in and has something to say to Andy Van Hellemond.
They're trying to get the explanation of exactly how this is going to be put up on the clock and what all the ramifications will be. It's just going to be 4-on-4 hockey for at least the next 2 minutes if no other penalties called. And then with 1:41 left in the Tocchet double minor, the Capitals will have a 5-on-4 man advantage.
Here's Pelle Eklund to start out now for Philadelphia. Gets across the blue line to Crossman, to Sinisalo. Centers it. Eklund couldn't get the shot underway. Taken back by Murphy. He moves to the point. It comes outside the line, and Howe throws it over to Eklund. He's challenged by Scott Stevens. Here's Sinisalo behind the net. Off the boards into the corner, and now Howe is pinned by Christian. Eklund bumped by Scott Stevens. Puck still loose. Sinisalo comes in, gets a stick on it. Back to Pelle Eklund. Eklund's got Crossman open at the point. Fires the shot on his own, though, and Stevens grabs it off the backboards. Back to Larry Murphy. 4 skaters aside right now. Here's Murphy. Up ahead to Miller. Kelly Miller for the Capitals inside the Flyers zone. Checked by Daigneault. Miller fires a shot right through the goal mouth. Back to the point. Prop steals and starts ahead to Poulin. Poulin across the line. 45 seconds left in the Washington penalty to Gustafsson. And then the Caps will have the power play back. 4 attackers for each team right now. Here's Prop. Taken away by Sundstrom. Peter Sundstrom to center. He's across the blue line of Philadelphia. Walks in. Hooked on the play by Huffman. And now the whistle blows. There's going to be a holding call coming here against Kerry Huffman of the Flyers. And that will send another Philadelphia skater to the box. Huffman goes off at 5:58.
Great move by Peter Sundstrom. And there you see, pretty clear cut, the hook as the inside position gained by Sundstrom. And the rookie has had a tough time tonight against the speedier, in some cases more physical, Washington Capital forwards. So now 4-on-3 hockey for the next 25 seconds. That is the time that remains in the Gustafsson call. And then the Capitals will have 5-on-3 after that 25 seconds. So this is the chance for the Capitals literally to break this game open and put it away.
They get a goal here, Al, they're going to break their backs. If they can use this 5-on-3 advantage, it'll put Mike Keenan's club into a real hole. Right now, the Flyers trail by 2. Zezel against Hunter. The draw to the corner. Here's Howe chasing it behind the net. He and Crossman are out there defensively. Howe to the blue line. Off a skate taken now by Zezel. Back to Crossman. Flyers trying to kill off all the time they can. But as they kill off time, they're only counting down the seconds until Gustafsson comes out. Here's Murphy on his backhand. Centers it. It's blocked, and back come the Flyers. Out of the box is Gustafsson, and he causes problems for Zezel at center ice, and Galley takes over. Washington now with a 5-3 manpower advantage. Here's Murphy at the point. Gustafsson to Galley, a shot, a save. Marsh with the rebound, and he clears it all the way down.
What a fantastic play by Brad Marsh. The block, and then still has the presence to clear it out. A couple of good scoring opportunities for the Caps. 1:12 and 1:05 the penalty times left for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right wing pass now for Kelly Miller in the corner. At the point, here's Murphy. Leads it over to Galley. A drive and a pad save made by Wendell Young. And again, the Flyers clear the puck. 45 seconds left until Huffman comes out of the box, and then there'll be 6 more seconds left on that second penalty call to Tocchet. 5 attackers against 3 for Washington. Here's Greg Smith. His shot blocked. Miller digs it out of the corner. Kelly Miller, rink-wide pass for Galley. Throws it behind the net for Gustafsson. Out front again for Greg Smith. Over to Galley in the corner. Galley's backboarding pass hits the referee's skate, and it's cleared all the way down by Poulin. That'll do it for the penalty call to Kerry Huffman. He comes out of the box, and the Flyers are just a man down. Here's Ridley. Smith in across the line, but offside called against Washington. Only 1 second left on the Tocchet call, and not only is that a very big penalty-killing effort for Philadelphia, but Al, I would venture to say that if Mike Gartner didn't see any ice time during all of that, I don't think we'll see him the rest of the game.
Unless this game gets tight, unless the Flyers are able to come back and Brian Murray needs goals. While he's got the 2-goal lead, he's not going to risk further injury to his star right winger. But what a great job of penalty killing done by the Flyers. The Capitals were getting the first shot on Young. Young was giving up some rebounds, but instead of the Flyers having trouble covering it. It was the Capitals unable to get there, and the big Philadelphia defenseman, Brad Marsh, did yeoman work, clearing the zone on a number of occasions. The rebounds were there, but the Caps couldn't get it before the Flyer defense did.
The Flyers are at full strength. Greg Smith with a shot, a save, a rebound shot, and a goal! Greg Adams, his second of the night. He had to wait on that one to trickle past Wendell Young, but he stuffs it in, and the Caps go ahead 4-1.
Unbelievable how this works. The Caps, with a two-man advantage, can't get anything through Young. This one Young cannot control cleanly, and right there, with a nose for the rebound, is the guy who got the goal scoring started for Washington. Greg Adams, number 2 on the night. Greg Smith with the big shot from the point. The Caps do it at even strength, what they cannot accomplish 5-on-3. The net result is still the big goal that Washington needed. 4-1 lead with 11:35 left to play.
Greg Adams, second of the night and second of the season. Icing is the call. Greg Smith gets the assist at 8:23.
Well, you look at that goal, Mike, and look what it represents. Here the Flyers had literally a great shot in the arm by surviving that two-man Capital advantage. They looked so good, but instead of the Capitals getting back defensive, the big shot from the point, and aggressive play up front, again showing the strength up front that the Capitals have featured all night. Greg Adams has done a magnificent job along with some of the other forwards, and there's the difference. Nobody moving Adams out. He's right there to get that rebound, and the Capitals showing that killer instinct. When you think the Flyers would have really gotten the lift, it's the Capitals who come in with the big goal.
Wendell Young didn't do a very good job of handling the rebound on that play. He lost it underneath him. I don't think he was sure where the puck was, and by the time he turned around, Greg Adams saw it the whole way and just picked it up and stuffed it in. Here's a high wrist shot knocked down by Ridley, and it comes out of the zone now. Samuelson over to Marsh. Bounces it past Malarchuk. Here goes Mellenby in the corner. Tied up by Larry Murphy. Sutter helps freeze it along the sideboards to stop play. There's a break in the action with a score. Washington 4, Philadelphia 1.
1st of October, Saturday night, Halloween night. The Caps are in Minnesota to take on the North Stars live at 8:30 p.m. See all the action with Mike and myself right here on DC 20, your super station for sports.
Well, Brian Bellows has added his 5th goal of the season to give the North Stars a lead over Quebec now at 3-2. Lane Lambert and Michel Goulet had the Quebec goals. Bjugstad and Broughton had scored earlier for Minnesota. That's the only other game tonight in the National Hockey League. Back in the corner goes Peter Sundstrom. Looks for a point man, but sends it right between Stevens and Murphy. Larry Murphy. Off the glass. To the point. Prop keeps it in. Fires. Malarchuk to save. Rebound shot. That's wide. Taken by Stevens. He's bumped hard behind the net by Prop. Now on the back of the net. It is Murphy to clear it to Miller. Marsh grabs him. Stevens and Brown go into the corner after the puck. Brown plays it away, but it's cleared to the point. Samuelson keeps it in. Knocked down by the stick of Stevens. And taken by Sundstrom. Brown tries to backhand it. He knocks Ridley off the play. Samuelson again tosses it behind the Capitals net. Malarchuk tripping up Prop as he skated by the goal. Now Ridley's in there with Stevens. Stevens and Brown push and shove. Their sticks come up. Larry Murphy makes the play in front to clear the puck, and Scott Stevens turns and starts out. Leads it ahead on the right wing now to Kelly Miller. Miller dumps it in. The Capitals and Flyers change up on the fly. Shell Samuelson moves it ahead for Mellenby. Mellenby bounces a shot on target. Malarchuk makes the save. Now Langway in the corner is hit. Langway struggles to get free of Derek Smith. Gets help from Cavallini, and he clears it off the boards. Kept in by Crossman. A drive and a save. Malarchuk got his pad on it. A shot off the side of the net. Taken away now out of the corner here for Bengt Gustafsson. Gustafsson to the blue line of Philadelphia. Over to Christian. Bounces it in on goal. The save made by Wendell Young. Back to center for Langway. Up to Christian. He and Sutter collide right in front of the Washington players bench. And now Langway to center ice. And Derek Smith shoots it into the Capitals zone. 8:45 to go here in the 3rd period. The Capitals lead 4-1. Cavallini gets bumped by Tockett on the play. Those two are going to go before the night's over. Here's Langway to the corner. Langway moves out. Out to center ice. Shell Samuelson is back. Over to Marsh. Up to Tockett on right wing. Moves it ahead to Carson. Cavallini works it free and forces the Flyers offside. And now a pileup is Francis Sketty, or is it Greg Adams? That has been pulled down on top of the Philadelphia player. And Carson has got something going right in front. Cavallini and Samuelson are paired up. Carson and Francis Sketty hold on to one another, and Greg Adams is still wrapped up right in front of the goal, and referee Andy Van Helleman is looking at that situation. Looks like Tockett is the man who had grabbed Adams. And as they all get back to their skates, now we still have Carson to be separated from Francis Sketty. There's a break in the action with the score, the Capitals 4 and the Flyers 1.
Rick Tockett still out on the ice, but Lindsey Carson, his teammate, is in the penalty box. Lou Francischetti for the Capitals in the penalty box. We're still waiting for the calls. Tockett was taken down in front by Greg Adams. There's a look. What Rick Tockett does so well, gets in and just goes right after it. Adams holds on to him with the stick, and then Tockett grabs Adams around the head, and they both fall to the ice. So far, these two guys have escaped the penalty box, and that's how the whole thing began.
2 minutes for high sticking, plus 2 minutes for roughing. Flyers penalty for 18, Lindsey Carson. 2 minutes for roughing.
Well, it looks like the Capitals will be down a man. I think a double minor to Francischetti, roughing and high sticking the calls, while Lindsey Carson only gets 2 minutes for high sticking. Those guys weren't even in the shots we showed you. But those are the penalized players, and the Flyers, and there still is time. 8:18 left to go in this third period, and now with the Flyers on the power play.
Well, that's the scary part, Al. The Flyers always capable of a comeback. They're that type of team. The Capitals with a 3-goal lead, but they're going to have to make it stand up here for another 8 minutes and 18 seconds. Francischetti, 2 for high sticking and 2 for roughing. And Lindsey Carson, 2 for roughing at 11:42. Hasn't this been a night tonight for the Capitals? For the guys who hadn't scored in a while. Craig Laughlin had no points in the last 4 games, and he has an assist on the Christian goal. Greg Adams, pointless in the last 5 games. He's got 2 goals. And Kelly Miller, who had no points in the last 4 games. He's come up with what could be the game winner if the Capitals can keep the score as is, or at least no more goals against by Philadelphia. We haven't seen Gartner since the first period. He left at the intermission and received some sort of medical attention for an undisclosed injury, and then came back for the third period, but hasn't seen a shift yet here in period number 3. Clint Malarchuk has given up only 8 goals now in the last 4 games that he has played, including tonight. And he has never beaten the Flyers. 0-2-2 lifetime with a 2.66 goals against average. Tonight making his 4th consecutive start. And well on his way to victory number 5. Here's a shot from the point, and Clint quickly grabs that with a catching glove. Still 1:39 left in the Philadelphia power play. Pete Peters backing up tonight. He and Greg Adams are both former Flyers.
We know the Capitals would love to get Peters some work, but how do you take a goaltender who has played as well as Malarchuk has out of the lineup? They want to get the great start. They want to come in here particularly and win in the building they haven't won in since 1984, but they also want to keep their goaltenders, both goaltenders, fresh. They got to get Peters some work, but why not get Malarchuk very comfortable and accustomed to playing with his new teammates, particularly the defensemen? There have been a little miscommunications early in the season, but those seem to have been ironed out as Warren Strello's gotten in there and helped straighten things out.
I think Peters realizes that, and he knows it's an 80-game season. His term will come. Here's Howe back over to Crossman. Now to Zezel. Zezel inside the Washington zone, drops it off. The pass behind Mark Howe from Prop. And it's poked to the point. Prop keeps it in to Howe. Wrist shot deflected on goal, and Malarchuk the pad save, and Christian clears it out, pushing it all the way back inside the Philadelphia line. Both clubs with line changes underway. Malarchuk roadblocks it behind the net for Rod Langway. Langway sends it all the way down. Still 29 seconds left to go on the Washington penalty to Francischetti. Looks like David Jensen is serving that call on Francischetti's behalf, giving the Flyers the power play. Here's Greg Smith. Throws it into the padding of Mellenby. Smith tying up Mellenby, spins him off his skates. And it's cleared to the point. Brown keeps it in, fires it, hit Mellenby's skate. Capitals get Jensen back, serving the first Francischetti penalty, and now both clubs are at even strength. And the Caps clear it out. 5 skaters aside now. 6 minutes to go. Here in the third period, Washington leads 4-1. Brad Marsh up with Mellenby across the blue line. Greg Adams over to get it. Tries to tip it out of the zone. And now Larry Murphy. Carrying to center. Murphy backhands into the corner. Here's a centering pass that gets by everybody and is chased all the way out to center ice by Scott Stevens, who has turned in a solid game behind that blue line tonight. Kastelik to Zezel. He's pulled down on the play by Lachlan. Nothing called, and Galley moves it up the boards to Lachlan. Out now to Gustafson. Bengt Gustafson gets across the line. The pass between the skates of Ed Kastelik, and here's Zezel to start back for the Flyers. He overskates the puck. Gustafson right there to tie him up. Now Samuelson on the right wing. Shot blocked, and Galley in to throw a hit. Ties up with Sutter. Sutter wound up to take the shot, and Scott Stevens, who probably has blocked a good half a dozen shots tonight, takes this one in the wrong place. And he's down, and trainer Stan Wong comes out to render some aid.
Isn't this typical of Scott Stevens? Here you've got 4 minutes, 42 seconds left. The Capitals up by 3 goals, looking in complete control of the game, and yet the competitor that he is not going to let any Flyer chance go if he can do something about it. Throwing the body around as he has done all night. And the other thing, Mike, besides the great shot blocking and solid defensive play, he has not been baited into any bad penalties, and the Flyers certainly have tried. We'll update you on Scott's condition, which looks pretty good, after these messages on DC-20. The Capitals home games this year, all you have to do is get a season ticket or partial plan. For more information, sales reps are standing by right now to answer your questions. Just give them a call at 386-7000. That's 386-7000 for Cap sales representatives for season ticket information.
Zezel centers, Sutter fires, Malarchuk covers and hangs on. Well, Philadelphia with a good setup there, and Clint Malarchuk doing what he has done so well, not only tonight, but all season. Watch how well he plays the angles on this particular play.
Look how quickly he comes out, Mike. He's at the post now, and look at the two, just a couple quick strides, completely cuts down the angle. Ron Sutter set up perfectly, and there's Malarchuk. Instead of just being stationary and giving Sutter too much room to shoot, he comes right at him and makes Sutter almost put it right in onto him. The thing the Capitals want their goaltenders to do is just make the first save. They feel their defenseman can get to that second one and not let in any bad goals. And Clint Malarchuk is filling that bill perfectly so far this season. There's a classic indication of the way he plays his angles and the good movement he has. A lot of credit goes to goaltender coach Warren Strela, who really works with his goaltenders to practice on that movement, that ability to come from one corner out front very quickly following the puck.
Marsh at the side of the net. Off the boards, Craven to Zezel. Sutter across the line early, and Zezel has to backtrack to center. Now he throws it in. Greg Smith out of the corner. Marsh fires. Malarchuk makes the glove stop, and the rebound is cleared to the boards. Peter Sundstrom up to Ridley. Marsh flips it back out to center ice, and here comes Sundstrom dumping it back into the Philadelphia end. 4 minutes to go, third period. Capitals on top 4-1 here in the Spectrum, where they have not won a game since April the 1st of 1984. The Flyers 8 wins, no losses, and 2 ties against the Capitals in the last 10 since then here. And what do you suppose the score was that night? 4-1. Here's Christian down the right wing. Dave Brown open on right wing. Fires, but Malarchuk covers and stops play. Dave Brown has a goal already. It was the goal that brought Philadelphia a victory the other night.
What would have been the odds if you had taken a bet that Dave Brown would have gotten his first goal before he was in his first fight?
Those would be pretty wild odds.
Tell you something, you know, you can say what you want about him. I know Capitals fans have very little good to say about Dave Brown, but when he is out of the lineup, you can tell a very distinct difference in this Flyer team. Whether you talk about his fights or not, he's a guy who's always out there trying to get things going. He is a real spark plug. And the time in the second period when Mike Keenan put him out there, the crowd seemed to get into it. Things seemed to lift up. So he's really a guy to get this crowd and get this team going. He may get into a lot of fights, may take some dumb penalties, but I tell you, they're a different team without him, and not just because of the intimidation factor. He really has become a big spark plug on this team.
He scored some big goals against the Capitals. I can remember a shorthanded one last season that was simply a backbreaker.
Well, his goal this year was a game winner against Pittsburgh, the one that extended Pittsburgh's misery in this building. Talk about the Caps problems. The Penguins, unbelievable record when you think about how long it's been since they've won here in the Spectrum, all the way back into the 70s.
Caps have outplayed the Flyers tonight. Here's a shot by Samuelson. Broken up, and Cavallini starts out to Larry Murphy. Shovels it into the corner. The Caps change up. And Brown, who was out a moment ago, hit the bench for about 30 seconds, and now he's back on the ice.
Well, there's one thing he's out there for now. He really wants to leave a message for the Capitals. This is a Mike Keenan tactic. A lot of teams hate it, but he gets Dave Brown out there if the Flyers are far ahead or if the Flyers are far behind. He gets Dave Brown out there and always tries to leave something in the other team's mind.
Here's Zezel to the corner, and Ridley works it free to Sundstrom. Into the Flyer zone. Drops it off Galley. A wrist shot. A save made by the goalkeeper, Wendell Young, and the rebound loose to Kelly Miller in the corner. Now here comes Ron Sutter. Throws it all the way down. Malarchuk puts it aside for Greg Smith. Thrown back inside the Flyer end. And as it's touched by Crossman, icing is the call against Washington. There's a break in the action with a score. The Capitals 4, the Flyers 1.
The 1988 Toyotas have arrived, now during Rosenthal Toyota's grand opening sale.
This contest, the Capitals in control at 4-1. Hope you're enjoying the action on DC 20. Your super station for sports will be with you all throughout this year as the Capitals off to a great start. And the next game, the 31st, to take on the North Stars in Minnesota. Mike and I will be out there bringing you the game at 8:30 p.m.
Here's Greg Smith to throw it off the corner boards. Gustafson clears to the point, but not out. Samuelson's shot is deflected and then taken by Greg Smith up to Dave Christian. Flyers have had pressure on in the Washington zone here the last few minutes. The Capitals' Christian drops it off for Greg Adams. We're in the final minute of play here in the third period. Langway out to Christian. Christian to center. Throws it back inside the Flyer zone. Crossman with it behind the net. He leads it off the boards for Mark Howe. Up to Derek Smith. He tosses it back into the Washington end. Cavallini goes to play it. Greg Adams starts out. He's got 2 goals tonight. Up to Larry Murphy. Murphy right side for Franciscetti. Centers in front, blocked by Wendell Young. And Dave Brown starts back. 18 seconds to go. Back to the blue line. Cleared off the boards. And Howe has it hopped by him, and Young is there to play it out. 5 seconds left. The puck cleared to center ice. And Gary Galley is back to get it as time runs out, and the Washington Capitals keep their winning ways going. The Capitals now have 10 points on the season as they stay in at least a tie. In fact, with tonight's game being the only game involving any Patrick Division opponents, the Capitals are in sole possession of first place in the Patrick Division, passing the Islanders and the Devils as they've beaten the Philadelphia Flyers 4-1, and that breaks a string of 10 games here in the Spectrum that the Capitals had not beat Philadelphia, going all the way back to April 1st of 1984. The Flyers are now 3-1 on the season. They stay at 7 points, 4th place in the Patrick Division. And the Capitals getting off to a tremendous start in the season series by handing Philadelphia a loss here on their own home ice surface.
And Mike, there's plenty of hockey still left, but think about it. The Capitals always have had to catch up to the Philadelphia Flyers in these races for the Patrick Division crown. Now it is the Flyers who must play catch up, at least in the early going. They fall 3 points behind the Caps.
We'll be back with our post-game programming right after we pause for these messages here on your Superstation for Sports, DC 20.